Yo, welcome to the show, episode 26. I'm in the dressing room in Rochester, Minnesota right now. This is a pretty cool place we're playing. This morning when I woke up on the bus, we had just been in Omaha last night. So we rode here overnight, and I got out of the bus like I normally do in the mornings, and I was in a building, which every now and then that happens, like you're in a kind of a garage area, but this was the most unique one yet. I stepped out of the bus and was surrounded by stands of seats, like 5,000 or 6,000 seats, and I got to looking, and we were in the middle of a basketball arena. The bus was parked where the court usually is, except it was all concrete. So I guess they move a wooden basketball court into this section, and it's, I think, called the Mayo Civic Center right here next to the Mayo Clinic. Maybe I'm getting this wrong, but I believe the sign said University of Minnesota is located here, and maybe that's where they play their college basketball games. But it was just crazy. Like, you get out of the bus, and I'm expecting this cold wind to blow or something, you know. It is like, oh, I'm just in the middle of an arena by myself. That's super random. But that's what I love about this tour. You just never know what you're stepping out of the bus into. And then comes the adventure of finding the dressing room. So I just follow these arrows and I walk down these random hallways, and eventually I see some activity, and some of the crew are setting up at the stage and at another building that's connected by hallways to this arena. And then I find my little dressing room here, and I've been working today on songs. I actually left the building and walked around outside here in the city for a little bit, and now I'm back. So it's Valentine's Day 2024, and I'm reflecting right now on where I was 18 years ago. 18 years ago today, I moved to Nashville from North Carolina. So probably about this time of day, I would say I was maybe working my final day. I'm pretty sure the last day I was in North Carolina, I worked for my cousin Scott. And I know Scott actually listens to the podcast, which blows my mind that he has the patience for that. Scott is one of the most effective, impressive entrepreneur workers that I've ever met. In my life, early on in my life, he was one of the people in our family that went outside of ministry and went outside of the norm of just having a job, or, you know, most of my uncles and people that I knew were in ministry. Scott, he always was ministry minded, but Scott decided, I'm going to start a business, and he started installing security systems and sound. I think it was like sound systems and stuff. At the time, it was innovative security or innovative sound and security. I hope I got that right, Scott. And that's what I remember. We would install all kinds of different electronic things at homes. And when I came back from Florida for a few months before I moved to Nashville, it was about 6 or 7 months there where I was just sort of in the middle. I was planning to move to Nashville, but I didn't have the courage yet. I thought I needed more money. I probably did, but, you know, I wasn't acting upon the hunger that I had in my heart. Well, Scott provided me a job, and man, during that 6 to 7 months, he provided me some of the best memories. Me and Scott had such a good time going all over these different towns in North Carolina. We would go on the road. We'd even stay in a hotel for a few nights and work at, like, I remember up in the mountains, we installed cameras in a McDonald's one time, and we were up there for like 4 or 5 days, and it was just a blast. And they had theft in the McDonald's. People would like steal, I guess workers were stealing food or something. I don't know, but it was funny because we were installing cameras like over the French fry person. And we'd eat at this McDonald's, and we laughed and made friends with all these people in these small towns. And Scott always has, and to this day still has, a huge personality and is one of the funniest people I've ever been around. Just all the laughs that we had. And then he could, like an episode of MASH, take something hilarious and suddenly in 5 minutes we could be in a really deep, serious conversation about the Lord and about life. Well, not that MASH talks about the Lord, but, it'd be an emotionally impactful conversation. And that's what reminds me of like the TV series MASH. So it was a good time in my life to work for Scott. At the time, I was basically an apprentice. He'd send me up into the roof pulling wire, or up on top of a ladder, or under a house. I'd be pulling wire under a house, and he would drill from a closet. And I'd be looking for that drill bit down there laying in the dirt. And here comes the bit. And then I would tape a piece of wire to the drill bit, and he'd pull it through. And then, we'd hardwire these houses with security systems. So after 6 or 7 months of this, I remember Scott said, "Adam, you need to make a decision." And he was like, I want to invest more time in you, and I want you to work for my company and take it to the next level. But you're only a helper right now, and I need you to be more than a helper. And I don't want to keep investing time and money in a helper who's not going to be here to grow with the company. So if you're going to move to Nashville, he's like, you either need to move or you need to stay. And I was 21, and it was a good speech for me, and it kicked my butt because I was like, I was so scared. I didn't know anybody, in Nashville, and I was just like, I've got this one phone number of these people, and I remember I got the stomach flu, and I was out for a few days, and for some reason, I stayed at my grandma's house, my Grandma Jones. And why would I go there with the flu? I don't know, but I think my mom, she had little kids running around with her and my stepdad. They had just had children. I was like, I'll never get any rest there, and I don't want to get them sick. So I went over and was like, I'm going to get my grandma sick. I don't know how the logic worked. I just remember being at my grandma's house, and it was the end of January 2006, and I was sitting there sick, and I thought, why don't I just go to Nashville? I mean, I was sick, but I was like, the heck with it. And so I got in my car, and I took a few days, and I came down, and I lined up my job in my apartment, and I called that phone number. And, that's actually, I did a whole episode or two on this at the beginning of the podcast series, way back, episode like 2, 3, 4, somewhere in there. So I'm not going to go into all the details, but I made the decision to move here. And I remember Scott telling me, you don't need to come back to work until you've made a decision. And I made a decision. And I came back, and I don't know if Scott was disappointed that I was leaving. I think maybe, because we had so much fun, and I did do everything he said. I wasn't like the best worker, but I tried to do whatever he told me to do. And one thing Scott loves is helping people. He gets that from his father. I used to call him Uncle Eddie, but his name was Bill Gendelsberger, and he was a preacher in Burlington. And Bill Gendelsberger had a tough exterior, but man, you talk about helping people. He helped people, and he loved people. And I experienced that myself in my life. And this was my Uncle Bill, Uncle Eddie. Well, I don't know why do we call him Uncle Eddie? I don't have any idea. So now Uncle Eddie, he's got his son Scott, who is probably 10, 15 years older than I was, maybe 15 years older than me. And I'm learning about life from Scott and hard work. So when I moved to Nashville, I have to say Scott set me up to at least succeed, knowing that I'd have to work hard. Like, I don't feel like a big success in Nashville at all, but I do know that, Scott, he told me how it was going to be. And he's like, if you have to sleep in your car, if you got to do whatever you got to do, that's what passion, he's like, if you're meant to do it, you will go to those lengths. And I'm going to tell y'all, I have slept in my car more nights than I can count because of playing gigs and music and travel. And I've missed out on so many job opportunities in life and financial security and all the things and the 401ks and the retirement and all that stuff. I've sacrificed so many opportunities to be with family and events that I should have been at or holidays. And what Scott told me is true. And today, on Valentine's Day, I'm not with my wife. I'm in Rochester, Minnesota, with this show, having a good time. We're going to play a show tonight. And my wonderful wife just came to visit me in Omaha a few days ago with our children. And we went to the zoo. We had a few good days. They left yesterday morning, and we did the show in Omaha, and now here we are. And I just have so many good memories looking back on the last 18 years. And that decision that I made today, 18 years ago, it just blows my mind. I remember that day I got off work, and I had left my cell phone in Charlotte. I mean, I don't even know how much that phone cost. It's probably a Nokia phone. It says 2006. And I remember we worked at a Monkey Joe's or something. It was some kind of a trampoline place. We installed cameras, and a day or two before I had left my phone down there. So when I left Gibsonville, Greensboro area, I went through Kernersville. My grandpa gave me some canned goods. I hit Walkertown Sheets. My daddy gave me a $20 bill and filled my tank up, and that was a big deal, man. Just so much support all the way out. I do remember my mama crying, and I kind of felt like she was disappointed that I was leaving, and she was just disappointed that she was, I'm her firstborn, so it was a big moment. So she was sad, but she also, she'll tell me to this day that she thought it was the best thing for me. And I believe her. So then I finally got out of the Triad area, which is what we call Winston-Salem, Greensboro, High Point area in North Carolina. And I got over to Statesville and Interstate 77. Instead of staying straight on I-40 going west, I dropped down I-77 about an hour out of the way and picked up my cell phone, and it's already the evening. And then I got my phone and I went straight back up 77 and hit I-40 and headed to Nashville. And it was 2 a.m. into the morning of February 15th when I arrived to an apartment loaded down with the sweetest gifts from Larry and Patty Jenkins. That phone number I had in my pocket of those people that I briefly met 2 weeks earlier on my visit to Nashville to find a job. They had filled my refrigerator with things that they figured out that I liked or they hoped I would like, and they were all they nailed it. It was like, milk and frozen pizzas and ham and cheese. I mean, all the good stuff. And I had canned goods from my grandpa and some silverware that my grandpa gave me. And I had orientation at 8 a.m. February 15th at Bass Pro Shops. So I didn't have much time to sleep. I don't think I slept a wink. I laid down in that bed, my alarm went off, and I got up and I got in the car and I drove to my new job, orientation. And that was the beginning of the life that's led me to where I am sitting right now in a dressing room in Rochester. So here's the deal. If you have aspirations, goals, whatever, it's been said 100,000 times. You got to just take the first step. And sometimes that is leaving everything. I was just listening to a podcast with Colin Cowherd and Ryan Russillo, two sports guys. And they were talking about they were not in comfortable situations when they grew up. They grew up around divorce or just towns that didn't offer a lot of opportunity. They felt like they were aspirational in their minds and in their hearts, and they had to leave to find any kind of satisfaction and to scratch that itch. And I was thinking about how true that it was for me. I love my family. I love that part of North Carolina where I lived. But the fact of the matter is, there was enough conflict and chaos and dysfunction growing up and all this moving around that we did. I lived in multiple states. Originally, I was born in North Carolina, ended up back in North Carolina, but during that time there was 2 divorces in our household. There were the additional kids showing up that my mom and stepdad were having, which wonderful, good for them. I ain't saying anything bad about that. But when you're 16, 17, 18, 19, and just every 2 years a baby is born in the house you live in, you're like, dude, I'm 19. What am I doing here? I got to get out of here. That's normal. That's natural. I'm aspirational, but there's nowhere to scratch that itch. There's no financial security whatsoever. I mean, it's like, what am I going to do? You got to look within and you got to get out of there. And that's what I did. And it's nothing against the people I came from, but that brought me to a city where I was where I could walk down the sidewalk and pass 10 people that just did what I did. I could go into a building and there's a songwriter night, and there's 12 songwriters playing tonight, and all of them did what I did. And we have that common ground. We have that community amongst each other, just that look. I know that you know that we did that. They left their town in Kansas or Oklahoma or Washington State or wherever, and I left mine in North Carolina, and here we are, and we're creative people getting together in these rooms and writing songs, and you find your people that way. And that's what happened. And that's how I'm at this point, because of those people that I met along the way. It ain't got nothing to do with me, but it does have to do with those decisions that God brought me face to face with, and the people in my life that influenced those decisions. Scott, thank you, Scott. Golly, thank you so much. I love you, man. My cousin helped me tremendously. My dad, my parents, my mom, all these people helped me get to this point. My wife, nobody deserves more gratitude than her. And 18 years in, I think it's so obvious. It's not like, oh, I know the reason God brought me to Nashville was her. That's the number one reason. Music, yeah, okay. But she's even made my music better. And that's not even what it's all about. But that's a wonderful blessing that's come out of it. So without her, man, I mean, y'all know, anybody who knows me, y'all know the music is much better with her in it. And if you don't think that, I'm sorry. I mean, it's the truth. It's the consensus. And me as a creator, I know it's true. So I'm grateful today that 18 years ago, I just pulled the trigger and did what I had to do. And I had people rooting for me, and had a wonderful place to land in Sumner County, North Carolina, where I've been a resident in that county nonstop for 18 years. Tennessee is home. North Carolina is where I grew up, but Tennessee is home. So I'm going to end this podcast with a song that I just finished today. I sat here in my dressing room and recorded a voice memo on my phone, and I don't think I'm going to ever put this song out. I don't know. I don't even know if it's any good, but this is kind of what I'm talking about on the podcast, so I thought, why not just throw it on here? Sort of an afterthought. It's called Picture of a Boy. There's a picture of a boy, almost a man, taken many years ago. See those curls in his hair? He doesn't have a care. He knows everything he thinks he needs to know. He has no regrets, no experience. He has no reasons yet to believe that his life might not go the way that he hopes, that he might not reach all his dreams. In that picture of a boy, almost a man, over his shoulder, well, that's his first guitar. He wrote a notebook of songs Then he took off on his own in his Honda car to play the Nashville bars. He had no regrets as he chased success. He had every reason yet to believe that his life was gonna go just as he hoped. Someday soon he'd reach all his dreams. Look at where he is today. He's no longer the kid in that picture frame. In my mirror is a man who used to be the boy from that picture taken many years ago. There's gray in his hair, oh, but he doesn't care. He knows now what that boy didn't know, that he won't regret the day she says yes, and her love will be everything he needs. I guess life didn't go exactly as he hoped back when he was just a boy. So many years ago, turned out better than he ever dreamed. Yeah. Now here's a picture of a boy, not yet a man, with his mama and me on my phone. See those curls in his hair? He doesn't have a care, trying to teach him everything he needs to know. That's my boy.